All right, perfect. So I know many of you have been to this meeting before, but just in case you haven't, BHA Technology Office Hours is a monthly meeting hosted by the technology team. And we typically provide updates regarding some of the systems, the technology systems that we have. We surface and discuss technology related questions. And then it's also an opportunity to provide feedback and expertise to some ongoing technology efforts that we have. So that's just kind of an overview. We have it once a month, the second Wednesday of the month from 1 to 2. It usually doesn't go the entire time, but we do have it scheduled for an hour just in case. So, and then like I mentioned, previous office hour slides and recordings, we always include a link on our website on the technology and data systems page to reference those in the future in case you ever miss it. I also will send out, many of you should have received a email from Gov Delivery. Technically, it looks like a newsletter with the agenda in advance, and I also send a recap after this as well. If you didn't receive that email from me, let me know, but you can drop your name into the chat and I'll make sure you get added to that list. So okay, so the agenda for today, we're going to talk a little bit about CCAR and DACOD's own path profile announcement, some client care search engagement opportunities. We're going to talk about the state encryption service. And then at the end, we'll leave it open for a little bit for any questions that anyone has or discussion, as well as some general reminders. Okay, so jumping right into say CCAR and DACODs, I know at the end of the year last year for our meeting, a lot of individuals had questions about CCAR and DACODs. So I wanted to first mention DACODs and CCAR trainings. So there are several TMS and DACODs trainings that are available online. These are pre-recorded videos that you can watch. In terms of trainings. And we're going to be creating accompanying user manuals in the future for those TMS and DACODs videos to go along with it. I am currently in the process of creating a CCAR training and user manual. I know a lot of people have been asking about that, and I'm pretty sure I've been talking about it for several months, and it's just been taking me a little bit longer than I had planned. So that is on my radar to make sure I get that done. Hopefully by the end of this month is a CCAR training as well as a user manual. And then I know last time as well, a lot of people asked about the DACODs and CCAR modernization efforts. And these will be more defined alongside the BASO implementation. So unfortunately, I don't have many more updates at this time regarding the modernization efforts, but do expect that in the coming months, as we kind of get these things figured out, we will be providing more updates. So I will pause there if anyone has any questions about that. Okay. Well, feel free to drop in chat if you do have any questions. And we're going to move on to Own Path Care Directory and Own Path Profile. And I think Karen or Bianca, you guys were going to share your screen. Is that right? Okay.
In a minute we will.
Okay.
But can you give me a thumbs up? Can you hear me? Can you see me?
Yes. Hear you and see you.
Awesome. So, hi everyone. Happy New Year. I'm having a classic Colorado whiplash where yesterday was freezing and now today is incredibly sunny. But my name is Bianca Frazier. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm a design researcher on the OwnPath Care Directory and BHA team. So today I want to share with you some updates about the care directory as well as the new tool OwnPath Profile. So Amanda, could you go to the next slide, please? Okay, so before I get into the updates, I always want to acknowledge this small but mighty team behind OwnPath Care Directory. I think of them as like a team of crack superheroes or, uh, like Ocean's 11, where everyone on this team has a different specialty and software or data flow or design or the language that goes onto the care directory. And it's just always worth pointing out that we are quite small, but we are quite mighty. And these are the folks that are working tirelessly behind the scenes. All right, so today I have something exciting to share. A new person coming onto this, Ocean's 11 team. Amanda, would you take us to the next slide, please? So you're familiar with me here on the left, and I'd like to welcome a new person to this team supporting the care directory and OwnPath profile, Karen Liu. So Karen and I will be working together to focus solely on supporting BHA licensed providers, getting you all invited and onboarded to using this new tool, OwnPath Profile, that we'll talk a bit more about in a second. But welcome, Karen. Can you introduce yourself?
Sure. Thanks, Bianca. Does that make us Ocean's 12 now? Hi,
Yeah.
everyone. Happy New Year. Really happy to be here. I'm Karen Liu, she, her, hers, and I've actually been working with the BHA, the Technology and Data Division, for the past 2 years or so on a variety of technology and data projects. I'm really excited to hop on board and help with the onboarding process for OwnPath Profile, which I'll be giving you a sneak peek into later. And just by ways of background, behavioral health is a very personal subject for me, so I'm very honored to work in this space. And my professional background is in digital product development and also in the equity space. And what that means for me is in everything that I touch, I am trying to remove as many barriers as possible. So happy to be here.
Yay, welcome, Karen. It's definitely Ocean's 12 now. I'm so grateful that you're on this team with your amazing skill set and kind of unique talents. So Amanda, if we could go to the next slide. So this information, I imagine many of you are familiar with this, but I'll just lay the foundation and just remind folks about how data gets to OwnPath Care Directory currently. So currently, the directory uses data from Ladders, our licensing system for BHA licensed providers. And Ladders has all that licensing and operational details, things like the hours of operation, which appear in the care directory. So when people in Colorado, they're trying to find mental health care, substance use care, things like licensed DUI treatment providers, they're going to the website and finding those informational details that are flowing from Ladders. So next slide, please. Okay, so that flow from Ladders, it takes a long time. You can update Ladders and then it's a month till the data gets updated. So we're moving from that system. We're introducing a new tool that you can use to update your profile on the directory called OwnPath Profile. So I imagine that you've heard about this tool before. We have been talking about it for the last year. And it is so exciting to say that we are ready to start welcoming providers to be using this tool this spring. So the goal for the tool is to make updating information so much easier for providers. And then conversely, to help people finding care get information that we know that they use to decide where to go when they're seeking care. So this tool will allow more team members on your teams to update operational details directly without needing Ladders access. And overall, this tool will make it simpler to manage how providers appear to people seeking care, and they can get more relevant information when they're deciding where to go. So the next slide, please, Amanda. Thank you. Okay, so we've had the pleasure of testing this software over the last year with BHA license providers, and we've heard that there are some areas that providers are really excited about that this tool can help you do. So Amanda, if you could click, they might come up one at a time. Okay, so through testing with providers, we've heard that providers are really excited that you can write in the description about what makes your clinic distinct in your area, what makes you stand out. The next bullet point, please. That you'll be able to update details about your clinic very quickly. Things like if your hours change, you're open on Saturdays now, or you're not open on Saturdays anymore. you can update that information way more quickly with this tool. And then the third bullet, that having this online presence helps people find you and even other providers. When we tested this tool, we spoke with a provider who said, yeah, I want to see who else is in my area doing this work. And this kind of online presence helps other people seeking care find you and other providers in your area find you. Okay, so next slide, please. All right, I'm gonna pass it off to Karen, who's going to do a demo of OwnPath Profile to show you some of these things that we've heard that providers are excited about.
Awesome. All right, I'm excited to share a preview. Let me go ahead and start sharing my screen. All right, is everyone seeing OwnPath Profile? Yes, okay.
Yes.
So on this page that you see here, for the sake of this demo, I am an administrator for a practice called Sample Therapy Services. This is an actual practice based in Longmont. Is anyone here happen to be affiliated with Sample Therapy Services? All right, so again, for the sake of this demo, just know that, as we're actively working on building this tool, we are pulling in real data, but what I'm doing now is manipulating it in sort of like a sandbox development environment. So what you're going to start to see is not real information, and no worries, nothing is going out live in the real world or anything like that. I just simply want to show you what it looks like. So if you are part of a practice that you will be making updates to, there will be a pretty simple process for getting you kind of an account set up and edit access or admin access to a directory page that you would be able to manage on your own. So once you've gotten access to, for example, Sample Therapy Services, you will land here. And what you're seeing here in the OwnPath Profile tool is really an approximation of how the page actually appears publicly on the OwnPath Care Directory website, with the addition of some admin functionality, right? We're really striving for the model of kind of what you see is what you get, and sort of edit what you're able to see, as opposed to an interface that looks completely foreign. I am just gonna scroll up and down a little bit here to show you what the landing page looks like. As you can see, there is more info here than what you can currently input through ladders, which is great, right? And that's because we have done extensive research with real people of Colorado who have used OwnPath and given feedback on what other factors would be, what other information would be really helpful to them in their search for care. Are you accessible by public transit by chance, right? Is there transportation assistance? Do you speak my language? Are there accessibility, supports? In addition to kind of basic information like location and phone number and hours, things like that. So a couple of things I want to highlight before we go into the edit mode. One of them is this toggle right here, and that allows you to control whether you want your page to be publicly available in the OwnPath Care Directory. I believe they will default to being on, but that is always going to be in your control. And if for some reason or for some duration of time, you'd rather not appear in a publicly searchable directory, you can simply turn the toggle off and that will take effect. Stop me anytime with questions, by the way. All right, there's also a handy last updated area, and that's just to give you a history of all the edits that have been made on the page. This is assuming, there might be multiple administrators, or a BHA admin might have made a change for some reason. If that's the case, you'll be able to see a history here of who made changes and when they did that. Okay. Going back to the page, now if you want to make some changes or updates to the information that's publicly available, you simply click on the edit button, and it takes you to a form where you can provide some updates. So I'm just going to roll through and call out a couple of things. You'll have the ability to choose how your practice shows up on OwnPath, because sometimes you might be doing business as a different entity than the ones that you are licensed as. You'll have an option to provide in your very own words a description of your practice. And you'll notice here that there's a field for both English and Spanish. We are committed to providing human translation for everything that's available on OwnPath in Spanish. So if you're able to, you are welcome to put in your content in Spanish as well. Just know that it's not required. And whenever you make edits or put in new content in English, our team will be taking on the Spanish translation and making sure that the Spanish site has parity with the English site as well. All right, and then we'll fill out some additional info, like, are you accepting new patients right now? Do you need an appointment? Telehealth. There's contact. A couple of things you're not going to be able to edit here. Address is one of them. Services is another, and that's because those fields are tied to your license. So if you need to edit those, you would need to get in touch with the BHA, but everything else is editable. You can also, if it's sensitive, choose not to share and show the address publicly. Let's see. You can put in multiple phone numbers and kind of specify what they are for and add as many as needed. Hours of operation. And then all of the other fields that we saw previously on the preview page, where, if you are accessible by public transit, you'll have the opportunity to put in, it's like what transit lines you're close to, again, in either English and or Spanish. And with all of these, we've done our best, based on research or initial rounds of research. But if there are other accessibility supports that you offer, for example, you can always click other. And when you do, that will pop up a required field for, what additional accessibility supports do you offer? And then we will provide the Spanish. So very similarly, for all of these, you simply select what applies. And if you click on other, you'll be prompted to provide the additional information. And then after you are done with that, you would hit save and go back to the prior page, and it says that your changes have been saved. So initially, upon launch, if you're making updates to non-text fields, like kind of just selecting different options, those will go live pretty much immediately. Any text changes is going to take a little bit longer to turn around, simply because a BHA admin will need to review and then provide or validate the Spanish translation before that goes live, just so we can make sure both sites, the English and Spanish versions of the site, remain the same. And then once changes are approved or saved, assuming that you do have the publicly display on OwnPath toggle turned on, updates should be reflected within 24 hours, if not sooner. All right, so that's the quick look. Keep in mind, this is an iterative process. This is the first version we're rolling out, so we're always going to be on the lookout for feedback, research, usability tests, and using all of that to make ongoing improvements so that this serves you better, and also in turn better serve the people of Colorado who are seeking care. So Bianca and I are your primary points of contact for the onboarding process into this tool, and we'll be here to help support you with setting up accounts, Spanish translation, any bugs you might run into, and then any feature requests that you might have, you wish it would work better in this way. We would love to hear about them anytime. And I will pause here for any questions.
Karen, it looks like a question did come into the chat. The question was, if we do update something in ladders, will it push the update here being on path profile, or will we need to update in both places?
Excellent question. Thanks, Sarah. So the idea is that with Path Profile, having everything Ladders has and then additional important information, we are hoping to migrate everyone over to Path Profile and sunsetting the portion of Ladders that has to do with the care directory and really make sure Ladder stays focused on licensing and that all directory information and updates happen here.
Great, thank you. Andrew just asked for both of your emails. Would that be if people need to reach out to you guys, do you want it direct to your email, or do you want the OwnPath team email?
We have a slide coming up on that, Amanda, if you wouldn't
Okay,
mind.
perfect. Let me reshare my screen. Okay, can you see my screen okay?
Yes, and would you mind going to the next slide? Just a couple other things to wrap up, and then we've got a slide with the email, and we will absolutely drop the email in the chat. So, awesome demo, Karen. I get excited just seeing you go through that. And here's some important information on the timeline. So right now, January, the team is finishing and testing the software, looking for bugs, like something wonky that shouldn't be happening, fixing those bugs. Karen and I are focused on creating the training materials, the support for providers to start using this tool. And then February, which we all know will be here before we know it, we are going to start sending out invites to providers to be trying out this tool. So we're going to do a phased approach. Again, that small but mighty team, which is part of the reason why we're going to go in groups, eventually getting to all BHA licensed providers. But we're going to start by sending out invites to providers who have a single clinic location. And Alex and Jumana, other folks on the team, are going to focus on non-BHA licensed providers getting onboarded to OwnPath Profile. In March, Karen and I will be sending out invites to BHA licensed providers who have multiple clinic locations so that by the end of March, every BHA licensed provider will have gotten that email to start using this tool. So next slide, please. As Karen and I are your people here to support BHA providers getting access to OwnPath Profile and using it successfully, we want to know, how can we best support you? Are there materials that would be helpful? Things like a quick start guide, a more extensive user manual. Do you like to go to a help desk if you need help with a tool? Do you like short recorded videos, or do you prefer like live training sessions? So please feel free to put your thoughts in the chat. There's no wrong answers here. Karen and I are just excited to hear what you prefer to be supported as you start using this tool, and we will do our best to get those supports up and going. So I will pause to see what's coming in the chat. I'm reading your question, Andrew. That's something I'll probably take to our product manager, Jumana, to get back to you with the correct answer for your question, Andrew. But does anyone have anything they want to put in the, okay, I see yes responses, live, manual, or recording. Um, I see other questions are rolling in. Any other thoughts on how we can support you, what you like to use when you start using a new tool? Perfect. Well, we'll grab what's in the chat, and I see other questions are coming in. We'll get to those in a moment. Amanda, would you mind clicking to the next slide? Great. So this is just wrapping things up, emphasizing the invites will begin in February. We plan to send out all invites by March. In the meantime, if you haven't gotten an email yet, that means you continue to use ladders for any changes to your directory listing. And then this email here, feel free to screenshot that. We will drop it in the chat. I check this email every day, so we will be responding to folks if you want to get in touch. This is the email to use. And I will end there.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Bianca and Karen. That was great. It's super, I thought it was super helpful to see. So thanks for taking the time to do a demo. Looks like there was a question about adding DUI 4+ designation as a search option in OwnPath. It looks like Karen said, well, she'll take that request back to the product manager and see if that's possible. So just wanted to say that out loud in case anybody else didn't see that in the chat. And then there was also a question which I might tag Sharon in. The question was when you, and this is not related to OwnPath, it's related to DRS. So when you mark a client as transferred in DRS, the system asks for a 4-digit DRS number for the receiving agency, but that information isn't easily accessible anywhere. Could we either publish that code to OwnPath or get rid of that question in DRS? Sharon, do you have any thoughts on that, or should we? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I think that it'll be a combo for us to work on with the OwnPath team. We do have all of those numbers. We have the current ones. So we can work with the OwnPath team to see if that's a possibility. If not, we could probably find a way to at least list it on our website so that you could go to the data system page and at least have a quick reference, and maybe that's what we do in the meantime. So great suggestion. I love these ideas.
Awesome, thanks. Yeah, I think we, as a short-term solution, we can definitely get those numbers in a PDF and post them to our webpage. So,
Yeah.
okay, moving right along to client care surge. I'll pass it off to Alex.
Hi, everyone. My name is Alex Mayo. I use he, him pronouns, and I'm a product manager at BHA supporting client care search and central registry. Today, I wanted to check in and talk to you all about some feedback opportunities on the tool. Amanda, if you don't mind progressing to the next slide. So we are roughly 6 months post-launch of client care search. So thought it would be a great time to kind of check in and see how it is working for you or how it could be improved to work for you better. There's a couple ways you can provide that feedback. Definitely receptive to any feedback live here. But I will also drop a link to a feedback form as well as essentially a Calendly link to book time on my calendar if you prefer verbal feedback. I also want to acknowledge that we have been getting your input along the journey, both in our initial build and in the preceding months. And what we've heard so far is really helped us refine our design. So we've heard some data's not helpful or it's noisy, and we've been able to simplify the design and ideally make it easier for you all to use the product on a daily basis. I do want to touch on something that we haven't been able to act on, but have heard and are actively considering, that the multi-factor authentication for client care search introduces friction, especially when you're logging in on a daily basis. We don't have a go forward solve for that because we're balancing the tension of this friction with maintaining security of the system, but definitely something we're aware of and we'll be reviewing regularly to see if there's something we can do to reduce that friction while maintaining security. So I'll pause for a breath if there's anything on this first piece of providing feedback of client care search to date. I'll also do my best to drop in some resources. All right. I will also drop the forum link momentarily. Sorry, trying to. Uh, it's Kevin. I see your question here. When updating bed availability, why does the order of the units change occasionally? Um, I'll have to verify this, but it should be alphabetical by facility. So uh, happy to discuss offline if you're seeing it change randomly. So if you're introducing new beds, new units, or renaming anything, it could change. But other than that, it really shouldn't on a daily basis. So happy to dive deeper if that's what you're experiencing. All right, I'll plan to follow up via email, Kevin, on that one just to confirm your experience there. The next piece I wanted to touch on is what's next for client care search. So uh, what we've launched is what we determined as like the minimum viable product, where by that I mean there's a tool where providers like yourselves can share your availability as well as admissions information and start to search for care of other providers based on that availability information. Next, we want to test the idea that leveraging that information, we can make the referrals process more efficient through more standardized forms, and again, having more insight into where there is availability across the state. So before we do so, we want to kind of test that hypothesis and are looking for volunteers who are willing to try this out with us for a couple weeks. Um, More details on this are forthcoming, so you'll be hearing from me in the coming weeks, asking if you're interested in this opportunity. As always, you can also just book time on my calendar to uh, chat through this and learn more in the meantime. But I'll be providing more uh, details and examples of what that will look like in the coming weeks. And Sarah, I am seeing your question. Have agencies been added as admins, or who do we email about adding staff? Amanda, do you have the provider services email handy?
Yeah.
Um, Perfect. If you don't mind dropping that, there is this email inbox that is monitored on a daily basis. That is the entry point for creating new accounts today. And Amanda will be dropping that in chat shortly. Any questions here? Kevin, I see your question. What's the timeline for non-treatment agencies to get access to the client care search platform, e.g. case managers and probation officers that refer clients to treatment? That is happening somewhat on a rolling basis. Thus far, it's been inbound interest. So as folks learn about client care search through this forum and other forums uh, where we speak to it, um, folks reach out and ask to learn more and get onboarded onto the system. We are shifting to a little bit more proactive for folks that could leverage this data for care navigation purposes. It is more of a case by case basis as we're coordinating across agencies and external organizations. I'll definitely keep you in the loop, but we are kind of rolling those folks into the system sporadically, and we'll continue to do so in the coming months. All right. I'm going to move on, but feel free to keep dropping questions in the chat, and then we can get to them at the end. Um, and this is more of a summary slide, combining what Bianca and Karen just shared, as well as what I just shared, on what to expect from a communications perspective over the coming months. We realize we reach out a lot for different opportunities and just want to give a high level roadmap, if you allow the term, of what's going on. So currently for client care search, we are continuing to seek feedback. Please, we'll be doing that in perpetuity. So definitely concentrated effort now, but if things come up whenever you're using it, don't hesitate to reach out. And likewise, this month we'll be starting that recruitment for that referrals pilot I just mentioned. That pilot will then be conducted in February. On OwnPath profile, Bianca, Karen, please keep me honest here if I'm misstating anything. In February, invitations to the first round of providers for OwnPath profile will be sent out, as well as onboarding those same providers. Building on that space, come March, invitations to the remaining providers will go out, as well as onboarding those folks. So just a summary slide to kind of tie everything together there. And one thing to also highlight, OwnPath profile information, that operational data that is entered, will also be leveraged and shown in client care search. You won't have to go into client care search to enter that same information. That might take a little bit longer than OwnPath, but that is something we are working towards. All right, that is it for me. Thank you so much for your time, and I'll hand it off back to you, Amanda, I believe.
Perfect. Thank you. And I will be dropping the email here in the chat in a moment. I do have it as one of the slides as well. So I'm going to move right along to the State of Colorado encryption service. And I wanted to mention this. I know probably many of you have interacted with us through our encryption service. So this might seem familiar to you. You might know all of it already. But I do want to just kind of mention it for those of you that might be new or aren't super familiar with it. And I feel like I've gotten a fair number of emails recently with people that have had issues getting into it. So I just thought it'd be a good time at the beginning of the year to kind of go over it again. So the state of Colorado has an encryption service. And as you likely know, encryption protects the content of an email so that sensitive information can only be accessed by the intended recipient. BHA employees will send a secure email to you when PHI or PII is involved. And if we're sending you login information. So if you reach out to us, typically for like TMS and CCAR, and you get a new password, we're going to send that to you in an encrypted email. The service that we use is the same across all state agencies, and the word encrypt will be in the subject line. So that's how you'll be able to know that it is a secure and encrypted email. Once an external user like yourself receives this email from a state employee, you then have to log into the secure reader inbox to access that email. So I have some screenshots here to help as well. So this first image, I apologize, it's a little blurry, but I had sent like a test email to myself. So when you receive that encrypted email, it will appear in your inbox similar to this. You can see that it says encrypt in the subject line. When you click in the email to open it, you'll see an image that looks like the one over here on the right-hand side, and there's an option to click here. Note that when you receive this email, you will only have access to that secure email for 14 days, and then it will expire. So you'll click into the email, you'll then want to click here to actually be taken to the secure portal. If it's your first time receiving a secure message from us, you will then be prompted to create an account. So you should follow the steps to set up that account. If you have used this service before and you can't get into the encryption service, you will need to do a password reset. So there is a forgot password option beneath the password field. You will need to click on that and the system will ask for your email. Once you submit that, then you'll receive an email with a link in it, and then you'll click on the link in the email to reset your password. So hopefully that makes sense. It's pretty similar to other password reset systems. Couple of other things to note is that passwords do expire after 90 days. So if it seems like, yeah, you can't get into the system, you haven't gotten one in a while, it's likely because it's been more than 90 days. If your password has expired and you do try to log in, the system should prompt you to reset it the next time you attempt to read a secure email. And I'm sure most of you have seen this before, but this is just a screenshot of what the secure encryption service looks like. Once you're logged into the service, you can read, reply all, forward, and write emails all from within the portal, and they will remain secure. So a couple of other things to note. I know some of you, your place of business, you do have your own encryption service. So obviously you can use that to send secure information to us. But if you do not have it, you can continue to use the state system. The link that I've provided here is a direct way for you to be able to log in to then get into the portal to send us an email. Alternatively, if you forget about that or you don't have it bookmarked, you can just send us an email to the provider support inbox saying, hey, I need to send something secure. Can you send me an encrypted email? If you are logged into the portal and there's no activity within it for 30 minutes, you will be automatically logged out. And if you enter your password incorrectly 3 times, you will be locked out of the portal for 30 minutes. And then after the 30 minutes, you can try to get back in again. If the password reset option does not work or fails, a BHA staff member will have to submit a ticket to our OIT service desk. So if you continue to have issues in trying to reset your password and getting that figured out, let us know and we can submit a ticket to get that resolved. There is a State of Colorado email encryption user guide that I've linked here. Some of our emails also have that as well. So that's really kind of a good resource, first line of defense if you are having issues or you're not sure how to use the system. I would definitely check out that user guide. Okay, I know I just went through that really quick, but like I said, I think probably most of you are familiar with it, but it's always a good refresher. So I will pause here if anybody has any questions or anything that they wanted to chat about. And then I have a couple of other just like reminders at the end, but I will pause here. Okay. Moving right along. So so here's our contact. Like I mentioned, I'm gonna drop that in the chat as well, but CDHS _ BHA provider support. So you can always reach out to us via email. And then our website has a lot of good resources as well. The next office hours will be on February 12th. We are closed on Monday, January 20th for Martin Luther King Day. So just an FYI. And that is it. Again, I will pause here for any questions, but otherwise, office hours is officially over. Thank you all so much for coming. We will stay on if you do have any questions, though.